Hi, I'm Guy Lawrence, and you are listening to the Guy Lawrence podcast. If you're enjoying this content and you want to find out more and join me and come further down the rabbit hole, make sure you head back to guylawrence.com.au. Awesome, guys. Enjoy the show. Fleur, welcome to Member Spotlight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so grateful you've come on today, my lovely. And of course, this will go out as a podcast in the future as well. And I'm very excited to share with everyone listening a little bit about your journey and your experience. And I'm curious to know as well, Fleur, since you got back from the retreat and then people asked you about it that have no idea about this work or anything, what were you saying to them?
I found it a little hard to describe because typically when you would say, I've been on a retreat, everyone was like, oh, how lovely, thinking you had massages and were by the pool. But when I kind of explained to them, I suppose I talked to them. I opened up a little bit about how I was feeling beforehand and what kind of space I was in. And then I just tried, as much as possible. I said we would, kind of did meditation, did some sound work, breath work, yoga, these kinds of things. And then I just sort of described the change that I've felt since then. So rather than probably focus on exactly what we did, because I've found that hard to kind of explain to people, and, just the energy around that and the connection and all those things. So the easiest way I kind of found was after that I've been feeling, this way or these are the changes. And obviously the people closest to me or, my partner that I'm living with have seen that, and my family as well. So
it's been mind-blowing. It's been mind-blowing. It's been amazing. And it's certainly not cocktails and massages at sunset, the retreat. But at the same time, I do believe it's for anyone. And like I'm taking my mum in January and she's 76. So so anyone listening to this think they haven't got it in or not sure, then there's no reason, no excuses. No. But anyway, back to the story. Well, let's work backwards from there because already you prompted a few questions for me. So you made a decision to come to the retreat. Well, what were you like just before the retreat then? Where were you at?
Just before the retreat was the heightened part of anxiety for me. There's a fair sort of backstory, probably 2 years before that, but right immediately, once I'd decided to go to the retreat, I wanted to do it. I knew I needed to change. My life was becoming just this tiny little bubble of comfort around me. I was scared of everything. And, I can go into more detail about that, but literally stepping left or right, or as simple as going to the shops, there was all this fear, all these, huge kind of, fear that was building up.
What's it like? What was it like living with that, Fleur?
It was awful because, prior to that, or in the years gone by, I was a confident person, a social person, laughing, happy, all these things. And they just kind of, there was a real sort of downward spiral that happened. And it kind of led through to a really depressive kind of state and a lot of sadness. And then that kind of was morphing as well into this anxiety and these huge irrational fears, and panic started to come in as well. So what was happening was each time I would experience those things, and it might be out of something really beautiful like a lunch out with friends, and I would get this panic. And then it was that, it would come over like a panic attack, and I could sweating, and I had to get up and walk away. I felt sick. And I didn't really know what was happening. And then I wanted to avoid those situations. So I was seeing myself. It was kind of weird because I was in it, but I could also see it a little bit from the outside, and I was just shutting down my life. I'd closed off my work. I didn't see many people, or if I did, it was the people that knew that I felt comfortable to say, I don't feel very well, I need to go for a walk. Anything that was social, gathering of people. But yeah, even simple things like I said, I would go to the shop and I would think, oh God, like, what if I don't come back from the shop? What
Really?
if I've left the
Wow.
house like that? It was so bad. And I didn't share it a lot. So keeping it all inside was almost giving it so much more power
More
as
energy,
well.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Do you mind me asking what kind of caused the downward spiral? Like, was there a trigger or an incident in your journey?
Look,
Or-
if I think back, I mean, I know when I was kind of 17, I really struggled there, kind of at the end of school. And I'd battled, I guess, on and off with mood, more depression though, like a lot of sadness. Um, and But what I think then happened was I kind of went full-fledged into work. I started working in a law firm. I worked 10 years there. I had my long service leave by 28. I, had
Wow.
worked this corporate busy job. I was managing teams of people, traveling nationally, training. There's just so much responsibility, which I really loved. But it started, I think, to burn out. And I had this real... what I've realised now is this, people pleasing and perfectionism that came into it. And so I carried that throughout my work, but it got to a point where I thought, I can't do this anymore. I thought it was the corporate city job. So I moved, we're living on the Northern Beaches, I scaled down my work. But then it was just mounting up. And then it got to a point where it was a physical thing. So a lot of gut health issues, just I was feeling horrible. I was then starting to avoid. It was like I couldn't eat out anywhere because I was getting physically kind of ill from that. And so
Bloody
things just
hell.
started to happen. Obviously, relationships really struggled there as well.
Were there any friends or family close to you that knew what was going on? Or
My I would say I eventually spoke honestly to my partner and some friends, but for
yeah,
a while there, I didn't even share
it was
those
just you.
fear-based things that were coming up, such as, my friends at work would say, let's all go here and have lunch. And I'm thinking, oh no, like we're going to have a car accident. It was like any moment that was really a fun, a holiday or anything like that inside, I thought something really bad is going to happen. And I never shared it. And sometimes I would go and sometimes I would just make a reason why not to go and never say anything. But I realized, my partner loves traveling. And I was like, oh my God, like he wants to go on a holiday. And I would never say anything, but it looked like I was being difficult or indecisive, And then eventually I was like, I have to speak up because I'm really not coping, things are not good. And I could see that. And as I said, as I was shutting things down, I was just finding safety, like with my dog and in my house. And that was kind of it. It was, yeah.
Incredible. And so what I'm trying to think the best place to go from there, because obviously I saw the anxiety within you
Mm,
before you made the decision, when you made the decision to come to the retreat. Like
yeah.
obviously if you're running from the hormones of stress and anxiety and that's the default mechanism, the moment we make decisions, like the courage you would have had to have shown
Um,
was huge, and I certainly know we all appreciated that,
yeah.
to support you to step into this work, because it's
Mm,
it's a big deal.
mm.
How did you find us in the first place?
So I was listening in all this searching that I was doing. I have to say I was leaning towards like the biochemical side of things, nutritional side of things. I was exploring that, thinking something's got to be wrong. And they were playing a little bit with also kind of like mold toxicity and, all that
Mm.
side of things. And I was listening to Alex Stewart's podcast. She was talking
Ah,
about her story around mold. She then spoke about going to the Joe Dispenza retreat. and
Mhm.
some of the effect that that had had on her. And I think it was just either the next one after, and she'd mentioned you and, you know, how much more accessible and kind of intimate the space was that you created, and listening to your conversation. And when I, just to step back a bit, when I guess she did talk about the Joe Dispenza retreat, I watched the YouTube clip that they did of it, the one on the Sunshine Coast, and something just kind of got me inside. You know, I was like, that looks amazing. Look at these people. Look what, you know, that feeling that was around it. And then so when I'd heard you speak, the retreat was the first thing I was just like, I want to do this. And I knew I was terrified, but I knew I almost needed it as well. It's as weird as, like, while I was in it, there was one little part of me that could kind of look on and say, this is not good. We need to get out of this. And, you know, it's going to take something. And so my initial contact, I think, with you, I went onto your website. I think I emailed you and was like, can I come to the retreat, even if I've done nothing else, you know? And then I looked up the Academy, of course, and we had a chat. I think you called me fairly well, and I was sort of blown away and a bit starstruck, because I was like, oh, it's actually him. And, you know, then I thought, you sent me, it was another story. It was Chris and Belinda's talk with you. And I heard that and thought, you know, they sound just like they're real, genuine people that have, you know, had progress here. And I just jumped in and I signed up to the Academy. And that was, I think, in June, mid-June, somewhere
Wow.
like that. It was not that long ago. But I was determined, and I'd started listening to everything. And I knew straight away from what you were saying about this, you know, place that we're in that becomes comfortable. We become addicted to that space, and to move out of it is uncomfortable, and it's not easy. And I just sort of, I'd committed, and that was it. And somehow I found this courage to, you know, do a video to introduce myself, which I think was just over 30 seconds. I was like, okay, I've done it. You know? And but I was terrified. I'd never worked in that space, never done a video, never been part of forums or, you know, chat kind of communities.
Totally. But
Totally out of
you
it.
wanted your future more than your past, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I recall asking you to I think start a thread within the forum of the membership asking, and I tagged all the previous retreat attendees because I knew you were terrified, basically,
Yeah.
from, obviously, because you're right, the situation of your anxiety.
Yeah.
And seeing the conversations and the support coming in there for you was just wonderful, because it's all well and good for myself, Matt, or Petra to say, look, come, you'll be fine, it's okay. But you know, when you hear it from other people like that, I think it's priceless.
Yeah. I was scared. I mean, I was excited at first. I was ready by that stage, because that was a little while, you know, after. But then as I started thinking about it, I was like, I have no idea what this is. Physically, am I going to be able to do it? So on top of my mental, I'd had this kind of chronic fatigue, these physical things that were happening where sometimes to vacuum the house was exhausting. You know, it was just this crippling in every way I would turn. And I thought, oh, all those things, like, I'm not going to be able to do it. Who's going to be there? I'm going by myself. Just again, the overwhelm, the thought of the future, the unknown. And that's when I thought, I sat on it for ages without speaking to you. And then I went, I have to say something. And then even to post it, I felt so stupid. But I did it. I thought, this is it. You know, I think part of what it was that helped me so much was the thought that if I put this out there and start talking about it, it loses power inside of me. And it was really starting to do some damage. And so I could grab on that and thought, you're not winning. I'm putting it out there. And always, every time I've done it, people have come and kind of held out their arms and been so supportive. You know, these people, they didn't know me. And they just started to say, you know, I remember some of the messages that were just, it's safe there. This is what it's for. You know, bring your anxiety, because you're going to be letting that go. And it really helped me. But the night before going, the day before, I was sitting in the room in tears, saying to my partner, I just can't go. He's like, well, don't do it. If you can't do it, I was like, I cannot do this. And he went to work, and part of me just went, I've booked my flight, I've booked the shuttle, like, what am I doing? And I just kept packing. Even though my head's going, you're not going, it's not happening. I just kept packing my stuff. And then, Jürgen got home, and I said something, and he's like, oh, so you're going then? I'm like, yeah, I'm going. But in the morning, I was fine. You know, I get to the airport, and that's the thing. There's always the thought was huge. And then the day came, and I was like, I'm fine. I had a great trip there, you know. Obviously, when I arrived, you know, it just was this wave of like, I'm good. No, I'm not.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
That's how close it was.
I know, it's amazing, mate. And we do tend to see that a lot, because we are a little vague of what goes on in the retreat. And we purposely do that as well, because a lot of the work is about coming up against ourselves and being uncomfortable with the unknown, but from a safe place, you know, and tiptoeing ourselves into that unknown feeling and getting used to that. Because I think in life we try to control so many aspects, but there's a deeper part of us that just basically wants to go fuck it and let go and just literally live in flow a bit and find those moments. And don't get me wrong, I still have to pull myself back and remind myself. I think it's just part of being human and the human conditioning. But as we understand that, and we learn the tools around how we can start to regulate that, and start to understand how the nervous system works, the body works, and how that actually fires a signal that influences our thoughts, and we can actually influence that signal, we can really start to create some solid change, you know. I mean, by the end of what was the most beautiful thing for me is watching, you know, 30 odd strangers come together and not wanting to leave at the end by the fourth day, you know, after 3 nights together. It was incredible. It was incredible. So
how you create that connection, that blew me away. It really did. I haven't felt that forever. Not like that.
Yeah, well, quite often, and you know, just speaking for everyone listening to this, if we have learned behaviors, and our cell has certain receptors on them that continue to either atrophy, like get not used, or grow, like sprout, and they're the emotions tied to it. So if we are not used to feeling love regular in our life, or joy or happiness or these feelings, then we literally don't have the senses to start picking up those emotions. So we keep going back to our default mode. So what we aim to do, in my mind as well, is start getting those senses sprouting again. So if you can experience these deep states of emotions in a powerful way, you're literally training the body and reorganizing its memory, so that becomes the default, because those patterns become more and more familiar, and then we're able to hold on to them and take them back into our daily life, and then really start to live from those spaces more, you know. And it's amazing. So what happened when you got back so you're back, and I think it's been literally 2 months now since the retreat. How's it been?
Oh, it's been, you know, my life's turned around. It's incredible. I just, you know, okay, so for a start, when I got home, you know, obviously there were things to process. There were feelings, things that came up. But immediately, what was gone, even on the flight back, no fearful thoughts. No, I flew the whole way home and didn't think, oh, the plane's going to crash. Oh, I can laugh about it. But it wasn't funny at the time, you know. It was like so real that I'm probably not getting home. I didn't think any of that. And now I find myself, and it's simple little things, like I'll drive 4 hours to my family. I'll get there and I think, oh, like days have gone by and I haven't thought anything bad. Now, you know, that was in the early. Now it's really rare if I have things like that, and that's huge. You know, I went to a friend's 40th birthday. There was, you know, 60 odd people. I was fine. I was having conversations. It's like I came alive at the retreat, and all of these things have fallen away. There are moments where I feel, obviously, you know, a little anxious about something, but I've learnt, you know, from continuing on, ways to curb that and to manage that. But, you know, I have not had days where I've just been crying all day or wishing I wasn't here or any of those things. And that, I mean, after 4 days, how, you know,
it's amazing.
I accept that. I don't know how.
But I think as well the other key ingredient, and you got to give yourself credit for this, Fleur, like is that you wanted it. You were ready. You were like, enough's enough. I'm going to do something about this. Like, you know, I think if we come into that situation playing the victim and not wanting to change and continue to stay in that place, then it's very hard for this work to have impact. But because the fact you were like, you know, there was such a strong warrior in you that is like, nah, that could push through above everything else when push come to the shove, you know. And there's so many lessons from that. What's it done for your own personal practice now? Because I get so many people saying, oh, I love the idea. I want to start meditating. I want to learn this work, but I don't have time. I still get caught up in the old things. Like for you personally, since coming back, how has that been since?
I've continued it, and it's now not, I don't think about it in that way. For me, it's just ingrained. Initially, it was part of, I've decided I need to do this. It's a choice, but it's for my well-being. Like, I must put that first. It's helping me manage what's happening or what I've been through. But now it's turned, and it's like, I miss it if I don't do it in the morning. So then I'll, you know, it might be through the day or in the evening or somewhere I pick it up. I feel way out of whack. And it's a mixture of things. It's, you know, meditation. I continued a yoga practice as well, which, you know, it just reconnected me, and it still reminds me of the space we had at the retreat. And I just hold that so dearly, you know. And so when I practice that, I remember that. I remember things Petra said, or that, you know, you've said. And I remember, and I think what you were saying about having this kind of set point or a reference point to go back to. You know, one of the experiences through one of the sound journeys at the retreat is that I found this peace inside that I don't think in my life I've ever felt, not even as a child. And I realized it was possible. And I'm realizing through doing meditation, through yoga, through sound practice as well, that, you know, I can find that, and I can find it in every day. And it's even better. It's even better than every time I do more, it just, you know, it's growing and it's getting better and better. So it's sort of like, it's not a chore. It's not about, can I find time? It's like, I'm not watching that crap on TV. I'm going in there and I'll journal, or I'll do, you know, a meditation or breath work, or it's just like, it's almost becomes a bit addictive because you just feel so good, but not in a,
it's a positive thing.
It's a positive thing. And for me, I'm not willing to sacrifice myself in that way again. I've just found this care and love that I matter, and it matters to take care of me, and just this softness around that if I'm happy to miss other things, because that's so important.
Exactly. And it becomes a priority, and it's so beautiful to hear, Fleur. And I can relate to what you said about the peace, because this is the thing, when the body learns to have these states, like I was saying about the receptors, my experience was many years ago. I was in a meditative state, and I felt this connection to the unified field, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it. And I had such this powerful connection, and then all of a sudden I felt this unconditional love that I don't think I'd ever felt, maybe ever since might have been a child. I don't know. It was like going home. And this feeling was so overwhelming. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. And I felt connected to everything and everyone. And just part of it for this moment, it was like I was given a nice, the curtain was lifted or something, and I was just shown behind. And I had this incredible feeling. And I remember coming out of that just going, oh my God, how do I even start to begin to put that in words? And I learned something new about myself, and that was my set point. And then when I brought that back in, I could almost empathize with people more, or feel their pain more, or see where they were at, because you would experience these feelings, and it was like my little bit of wisdom I could take into my day-to-day life and stop being so judgmental or whatever those things were. And when you have these moments, it truly, I believe, changes the whole trajectory. Like for yourself, like you've been back 2 months, like you said, there's still days that are tough, but you've got the tools, you do the work, and you've realized you're letting go of the things that actually don't serve you anymore. It's like the empty calories, whether it be the TV, certain things, or the different foods, or things that can hold us back. And then you continue to fill up on the cup every day for yourself, and you give time for yourself first, which allows you to be the best version for everyone else. And you're bringing that in. And that's why I was so excited to have you come on, and you shared so openly, because witnessing where you were at to what is going on it's just beautiful to see, and long may it continue. But you're continuing to do the work, you're continuing to lean in, and you're continuing to want to evolve and become the better version of yourself every day, which is just amazing.
Thanks.
What would you say to somebody listening to this right now that not necessarily feel stuck in life, or they could be just even wanting to step on this path and might be curious and just go, what, I actually live a good life, but I want to see if there's more, or whatever it might be, and they were sitting on the fence about coming to the retreat. What would you say to them if they reached out to you?
Oh, I've spoken to a few people on the fence, and look, I think the thing is, there was such a mix of people and personalities and circumstances that led people to the retreat I was on. So I was at one end, and there were other people who had either been before or who were in a great place in life, and they were there with a partner, and they were still flourishing. And I think when I was thinking about things, today, when I think around meditation and just all of these practices, it's like it's so positive. There's nothing negative about it. It's so enriching. Everyone is encouraging. It's about connecting to a place where we all belong, to open creativity, to be the best that we can. So whether you're stuck or you're thriving, I mean, to me, that is just like, if you're thriving, you're just gonna explode, and things become even better. And if you're a bit, not where you want to be, you lift up. And you lift probably past, I've lifted past where I thought was even possible. And life just gets better and better. And so I just would say, to anyone, even if the words or the thought of it triggers something, just a feeling, or I'm intrigued, or I would love to do that, but I'm not sure. I say do it, because you actually don't even know what you're going to experience or what's going to happen. It's no accident who you meet at the retreat, who is there in that space with you, be it that they share a story, or be it that, I've connected with people, I still speak to them on the phone. We're interstate, and there's just this love and this friendship, which is amazing, let alone the other experiences. There just is so many surprises, so many wonderful things that come out of it. The location, the food, if you're a foodie, you know, it just kind of gets every aspect of it. So, you know, I think all I can say is, and I even said it to my partner, you know, if there's any little part of you that thinks you want to go, do it. And don't listen to all the things that come up afterwards about why you shouldn't go.
Just get in there.
You just don't even know what amazing things will unfold. And that's not only at the retreat, that's in every day now. I see that.
Yeah.
Simple, beautiful things that you don't expect. Your phone rings and someone says something that you're like, wow, I was blown away. Or, you know, an offer of something comes forward. It's just like, how is life so wonderful now? It's so sad before. Yeah.
As Wayne Dyer once quoted, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You know, and it's so true. And the other thing I want to add as well, which is very powerful, the last thing is the intimacy of the retreat. That is definitely a very strong component. It'd be very different to going into a crowd of 1,000 people plus.
Yes.
It's in different. There's different setups anyway. There's many different things to the way we work, but the intimacy is something beautiful and something we want to hang on to as we grow as well. You know, so yeah.
It's so amazing. You know, that's the thing, and even within ourselves, by the end of it, you know, or within days, we all know each other's names. We didn't want to go. We didn't want to leave. I don't think there was a dry eye there, was there? I don't think, you know, like it was just this, I don't know. It was just incredible. And those moments, you know, they'll stick with me forever. And there will be more as well. But
for sure, of course. Yeah, I mean, we've done and held 3, and every single one has affected me deeply. And I'm just like, wow, I can't wait for January and what's ahead to continue to get this out there, because it's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
Well, Fleur, look, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing so openly and honestly. I have no doubt your words will be inspiring other people listening to this today. And you're such a kind and lovely person. And I just want to say that witnessing you just grasp this work is just beautiful. So, and it's very inspiring me too, you know. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. For all the energy and all the time and all the heart that you put into it. And, you know, I know people kind of throw things around about it's life changing or things, but Guy, you know, I was in such a place that I don't know, you know, to find the academy, to just feel part of something and to have something that was positive that I could listen to, even if I was walking and listening to you speaking, you know, it saved me. And I don't think it's not an exaggeration. And, you know, so it's not only thank you from me, but my family, my parents, my sister, you know, they have me back, and it's pretty, it's a pretty huge thing. So, you know, I hope for you in the times it's challenging that, you know that you're actually touching people, and not only that individual, but the circles of people around them that get their person back as well. So
thank you. Yeah, it's what keeps me going when things are tough.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you, Fleur.
Thanks, Guy.